Thank you for watching my video today. Today's story it's about the one who don't want to miss that everyone has experienced at least once. Love is so weird. A man who moves away when he wants to hold on, and becomes clearer when he tries to forget. Please subscribe and like before the video starts. Then I'll start talking right away. I was joking at first, but I didn't know I'd really love you. In my third year of marriage, my life was like a well-managed garden. My husband was impeccable, and we shared a calm and peaceful routine. It was my little secret to be childless. He was a great man, so I wanted to be a perfect wife, too. But maybe because of the weight of perfection, sometimes this serenity felt like a deep, thick cliche. I had numerous encounters before marriage, and after exhausting my curiosity about being a man, I settled down with my husband. So extramarital affairs were unimaginable to me. My marriage was solid and my relationship with my husband was satisfactory enough. But what happened to me was like an unannounced midnight accident. After moving into a new apartment, my in-laws gathered for a housewarming party. There were 3 rooms and full of guests. Late at night, my husband and I went to bed on the bed in the master bedroom, and my uncle and wife went to bed on the floor with the yo-yo on the floor. I woke up to someone's cautious touch on that night, when I was deeply asleep in spirits and fatigue. In the darkness I thought it was, of course, a loving touch from my husband. A familiar and unfamiliar tension enveloped my whole body, and I was half asleep and did not resist the touch. It was a more persistent, more violent, and strangely intense stimulus than usual. In a drunken, dazed state, I was met with a heavy presence felt with an unfamiliar scent. At that moment, I realized everything. This man was not my husband. When I suddenly opened my eyes, the man covering me in the dim moonlight, so much like my husband, but not my husband, apparently my father-in-law. Fear and shock came, but at the same time, an uncontrollable violent wave from the depths of my stomach struck me. I tried to push him away, but his slothful, determined voice overpowered my reason. Be quiet. Already spilled water. In this ridiculous situation, I was caught up in a strange and dangerous pleasure. The strange power and tension and the intense stimulation I felt in my father-in-law were the kinds of things I had never felt in my husband. The low groans that burst out of breathless silence were swallowed back into his throat, blocked by his lips. I was sucked into a throbbing organism, cradling my father's back. After that day, my daily life couldn't be the same as before. After barely waking up in his arms, I couldn't erase all the senses of the night. His body odor, which resembled his husband but was distinctly different, and his presence, which was filled with small foreign sensations unlike his, was engraved on me like a forbidden stigma. His confession, which he later found out, was shocking. He said for a long time that I was his ideal type. His marriage was also flat, but he said he was always lonely because he couldn't get sexual interaction from his wife. I, too, was thirsty with the cliché hidden behind the tranquility. Maybe we were caught in a dangerous trap, destined to make up for each other's deficiencies. We recognized each other's sparks and met again. The thrilling thrill from my father-in-law awakened all my senses. The stimulation from his body was so intense that I couldn't control myself. I became a passionate woman only in front of him. We don't promise love to each other, but we are the most intense objects of desire for each other. I'm still a wise wife, and I try not to neglect my husband. My relationship with my husband is still satisfactory, but it's just a familiar and gentle satisfaction, like well-boiled tea. But my encounter with my father-in-law, like a red flower blooming alone in the deep night, breathes into me an intense life that suffocates me. Today, too, I moved to a secret place where nobody knows, to feel that intense vitality. In the corner of my solid garden, there was a dangerous and fascinating flower of meeting with my father-in-law. On the night I returned from my meeting with my father-in-law, my bedroom was full of traces of 2 men. One man was my husband, who lay side by side of the bed, sleeping deeply, and the other was my husband's brother, who had shaken all my cells up until just now. Even though I came out of the shower, my ears seemed to be filled with the harsh breathing of my father-in-law, and the lingering scent of his intense stimulation. As I lay by my husband, I felt both guilty and a strange sense of relief. This peaceful bed was the only anchor that kept me in reality. Even in my sleep, my husband extended his arm toward me and hugged me carefully. His arms, as usual, represented familiarity, warmth and safety. I love my husband. Really, this thought was genuine. My husband was a man of respect, consideration, and a lifelong haven for me. I have always made a pledge that meeting with my father should not be an excuse for neglecting my husband. Rather, thanks to the intense experience, I tried to be a friendlier and more devoted wife to my husband. It may have been some sort of defense mechanism to protect my marriage, but there was a dangerous dark charm to him, my father-in-law. He confessed that through his relationship with me, he regains his vitality, which he had lost, or which he never had in the first place. The story of his wife, my brother, further strengthened the covert alliance between the two of us. My father-in-law's confession that she was like a woodstone or that she was irritating gave him the perception that I was a special being. The small traces carved into my father's body, the ones that were so intense for women, as he confessed himself, that they were burdensome, or sometimes made them run away, came to me as a one-of-a-kind speciality in the world. My father seemed to be a man only when he was with me. We didn't talk about love. The purpose of the meeting was clear. It was that uncontrollable pleasure. He gave me a devastating sense of liberation that my husband could not afford, and I presented him with a warm welcome and recognition. We were ironically connected at the deepest point, understanding and sharing each other's darkest desires. One day, at dinner with my in-laws, my husband and my wife were together. My husband and my father were laughing and talking, and I exchanged pleasantries with them. A seemingly harmonious couple. But under the table, my father-in-law's toes touched my ankle slightly. For a moment, my heart contracted as cold as falling into ice water. His eyes were still on my husband and brother, but the tension and shudder brought about by that little contact was as intense as it would engulf me. I moved my feet to avoid contact, but my father-in-law persistently found my ankle and wrapped it gently again. His ankle seemed to contain the desire that had heated me up until now. We have to stop. This is over the line. My conscience shouted, but ironically the dangerous tension made me more vivid. The fact that my husband and brother were sitting right next to each other, that this was all perfectly disguised, made this moment of contact the most dangerous and sweet of pranks. I continued my conversation with my brother with a smile, but my whole nerves were focused on my uncle's feet, which were touching my ankles. The minute pressure was beyond mere contact, a secret language we shared. That night, after my husband fell asleep, I got up secretly and went out to the living room. The city lights out of the veranda window were as dizzy as my complex mind. Why can't I stop? My husband gave me stability and my father gave me freedom. I was staying in a safe fence, but yearning for a violent storm outside it. This was not a full grunt, but perhaps the country was the inevitable answer to human essential desires. Should I end my relationship with my father-in-law, or should I balance these two lives by separating them perfectly forever? On the boundary between desire and conscience, I was walking a lonely tightrope. As time passed, my relationship with my father became deeper and more secretive. We were as addicted to each other as we were to each other. We were left with a sense of deprivation. Even when I was around my husband, my eyes would unconsciously turn to my cell phone waiting for my father's call. Then one day, a delicate crack began to develop. My husband was as sweet as ever, but I felt his eyes stay long at times. A few days ago, my husband asked me very carefully, as usual, "Honey, what's your problem these days? You can't sleep, or is everything alright?" My heart sank. In my 3 years of marriage to my husband, we haven't had a marital fight, but there are areas where we don't ask each other that deeply. I thought it was up to me to deal with my complaints about dareness. But when my husband first asked me for concerns, I sensed that he was sensing my inner changes. "No, everything's fine. It's just, I'm a little tired these days." I tried hard to answer brightly and leaned on my husband's arm. His arms were still comfortable, but now they were uncomfortable as if they had sprained the thorns of guilt. The most nerve-wracking moment came from a meeting with my father's wife and my brother. My brother was quiet, and as my husband said, he was somewhat like a woodstone, but she had a sense of truth and calmness devoted to her husband. I tried to be nicer to my brother like a sinner. One weekend, after a family meeting with my in-laws, my uncle and my wife stayed at my house overnight. The situation of that night is reproduced again. Unlike them, I now knew the predetermined temptation. A deep night when everyone is asleep. My husband was fast asleep beside me. I knew my father would come through the door, but I couldn't get out, or I couldn't resist it. Desire had already paralyzed reason. I heard the door open quietly, and my father approached my bed. He sat quietly at the end of the bed and swept my hair very carefully. At that moment, I opened my eyes wide. "Father-in-law," I whispered in a very low, trembling voice. My father was embarrassed, but he soon leaned down on the bed and covered my lips. His eyes were a mixture of desperation, desire, and dangerous joy. He hugged me like he was pushing me into the corner of the bed. Just then, my husband turned around talking in his sleep. My husband's movement was not loud, but the sound felt like thunder in the dark. My father became stiff, and I couldn't even breathe. We both waited in prayer for my husband's breathing to change regularly again. A few seconds felt like eternity. My husband seemed to be in a deep sleep again. My father-in-law quietly rose up and breathed his breath into my ears. I know you're waiting for me," he whispered lowly, "but not today. This situation only makes you want more." He held my hand slightly and then let go. leaving only the spark of desire he had brought. The next morning, everyone was sitting in the living room drinking coffee. My brother was quietly reading the newspaper, and my father and husband were talking about their weekend plans. My face was pale because I slept all night. Then, my husband blurted out to my father-in-law, "Hyung, did you feel uncomfortable at night?" I don't know if I talked loudly in my sleep at dawn. My heart plummeted once again. The father-in-law smiled and replied to his husband, "No, not at all. I'm naturally deaf." But my father's eyes passed by me. Those eyes contained last night's tension and secret promise. But after that, my brother raised his head and looked at me. "Oh, my. Why is your new husband's face so bad? Didn't you sleep because of us at night? Or, did you have a bad dream?" My brother's voice was sweet, but I read a sharp shadow of doubt in the question. She was aware of her husband's sleep-talking, pointing out my pale face. Her eyes seemed to penetrate the secret of my abyss. I bit my lips and smiled. "No, brother, just. My dream is a bit fierce these days. Strangely, I can't sleep deeply." My lie was perfect, but at that moment I realized this dangerous tightrope walk wasn't just about me. Our secret has already created a gap of silence, and that crisis has begun to seep through it. My husband's quizzes and my brother's subtle eyes gave me anxiety that unfamiliar flowers in my garden might no longer be hidden. After my conversation with my brother, I was in a state of extreme anxiety. My pale face and my brother's suspicious gaze at the dream made me see that she wasn't just worried about my condition. Her inner circle may have had a microscopic antenna on her husband's hidden absence or change. I contacted my father not to see him for a while. The fear of losing all stability in my life weighed down my desires for a moment. I really need to stop now. I am guilty of my husband. After a week of solitude, my determination gradually broke down. My husband's arms were still warm and safe, but when the devastating vitality I felt in my father-in-law disappeared, my life seemed to go back to a faint black and white. The well-managed garden was perfect, but it felt like a garden without flowers. It was my father-in-law who came to see me. He pretended to be rational, but his eyes were hungry. He pretended to understand my determination, but he touched my weakest point. "I'll be like a wood stone again without you. You're the only one who truly makes me man." His words piqued my guilt, and at the same time filled my self-esteem and yearning for speciality. I knew this relationship was dangerous, but I couldn't give up the existence of a man who wanted me this badly. In the end, we decided to meet only once more. It was a last goodbye meeting. The place we met was a small detached house on the quiet outskirts. For today, he was as fierce as betting everything on the word last. Like a lover about to break up, our emotions exploded to the highest point. The intensity that his body gives me, the enthusiastic response that I give back to him too. At that moment, I felt that the only area I could control was the pleasure of this moment. Let go. I can't. Ugh, don't stop. My groan was like a scream, and he embraced me even more frantically at the sound. Even though I knew the end of this dangerous relationship was a catastrophe, I fully embraced the beautiful flames that bloomed at the edge of the cliff. It was when they shared their last pleasure, gasped and held each other, I heard the opening of the front door. "Brother, sister-in-law, are you here?" It was my husband's voice. My father and I froze. The husband called because he had urgent documents to deliver to his father-in-law, but when he did not answer, he came to know the existence of this separate house that his father used secretly. Time seemed to have stopped. My father became stiff, and I opened my eyes wide in horror. Clothes were scattered on the floor, and bed sheets were crumpled. It was only a matter of time before my husband opened the door and came into this bedroom. My father quickly picked up his clothes, and I wrapped the blanket all over my body. My father locked the bedroom door and held his breath in front of the door. "Brother, please answer me if you're inside." My husband's voice came up close. My father was breathing heavily against the wall. His eyes contained despair, anger, and final determination. "I'll go out. I'll carry everything. You hide here." The father-in-law spoke in a whisper. He grabbed the door as if he had given up everything. At that moment, I kicked the blanket I was wrapping. "Father, wait a minute." I ran to the bedroom window with the blanket over me. It was on the second floor, but when I jumped down, I could see the grass. I made eye contact with my father-in-law. "You can't go out alone like this. I can't see your wife's face." My voice was firm. He hesitated between my safety and the breakdown of my marriage. "Honey, open the door." My husband knocked on the door. I pushed my father away and grabbed the door. The end of this relationship had to be my choice in the end. Even in the face of the catastrophe, I had to end this relationship in the most me-like manner. I took a deep breath and turned the door. The moment the door opened, my eyes turned to my father-in-law. I had a headache, so I came to rest. "You followed me." The door opened and my husband's surprised face came into view. Behind him was a brother with a strange expression. They alternated between me and my father-in-law, who was standing in a blanket, and my roughly dressed father father-in-law. The smell of desire in the bedroom and the crumpled sheets perfectly explained the situation. "This is what?" My husband's voice trembled. I didn't shy away from my husband's gaze and stared straight. My eyes were filled with cold resignation instead of guilt. I knew I had to leave this safe garden. This cliché but comfy life could no longer be sustained because of the seeds of dangerous desires I sowed. I accepted that at this moment, I could not have either a strong pleasure with my father-in-law, or a comfortable peace with my husband. This was my last choice. I just wanted to end the painful tightrope between desire and conscience, by choosing an all-exposure catastrophe.